I have no doubt as I stand before the court that the man responsible for the death of Christopher Thomas is right before you. He pulled the trigger. It resulted in the 2 wounds. The 2 wounds is what caused that death. The concession to bring it down to 30, as opposed to the cold-hearted killing that it was, has a lot to do with all those facts I was just going through. There was a lot that was going to get muddy at the time of trial. There was going to be blaming on other individuals instead of accepting responsibility. I thought I had it worked out to where that was going to occur, and then we get his statements here.
All right, so here's what's happening in this case. The defendant has already entered a guilty plea to first-degree murder, and today's hearing is all about sentencing. There were questions raised about whether more than one person fired shots, whether the co-defendants were more responsible. You'll hear the prosecution argue that 2 witnesses identified the defendant as the shooter. You'll see the judge address the inconsistencies in the pre-sentence report and the impact on the victim's family. Let's go to the courtroom.
That being said, nothing has changed. The facts of the case, which are that Mr. Thomas was shot 2 times with the same weapon. In order for it to occur, as defense suggests, there would have had to have been some exchange between Mr. Broussard and Mr. Moss so that one shoots and then the other turns around and shoots. Is that possible? Yeah, it's possible. But it doesn't change the fact that this is the individual that 2 witnesses says killed that man and left him for dead in the ditch. 30 years is what's appropriate.
Judge, one point that Mr. Ham was leaving obvious is that witness, Mr. Small, has made multiple statements. When he first was approached and gave an interview, he said one thing. Then later on in the case, when the DA's office investigated, he says another thing. My only point is that Judge Moss, as Mr. Ham stated, has entered into a plea agreement, and he's saying it's coming back for sentencing. It wasn't a 30-year cap on Mr. Moss. And what I'm saying, Judge, is by way of extrapolation and by way of deduction, when you read the first page of the PSI, it was Moss who had a physical fight with this deceased guy. It was Moss that was the one that was throwing blows with him, punching him. That was Moss. And the deceased came back. So if out of everybody there, the guy, in my opinion, that would have been the most heated, the most angry, is going to be the one who had the physical fight. And what I was trying to say, Judge, and that's why I kept pointing out about the 2 wounds, one to the leg and one to the stomach. You had 2 shooters, and that Mr. Moss is going to leave out of here with what, 15 years or something on the cap that he made for Mr. Moss. What I'm saying is that my client should not get 30 when, if you look at his criminal history, to my understanding, Judge, when you look on the last page, he doesn't have that criminal history at all. At all. He does not. And he did go to Memorial High School. He has had employment. And I think, like you said, Judge, it's best for me to, let him do more talking than me. But all I was trying to get the court to see is that there were 2 shooters based upon the wounds, one to the thigh and one to the stomach. Okay. Now, I guess the question for you today is do you accept responsibility for the wound to the leg?
Yes, sir. Take full responsibility. Yeah, they know.
And with that, he's taking. So what I want to do, Judge, is to correct and amend the PSI, because what he is saying is what I said.
Does that kill the man? The wound to the leg?
Well, I think that when you if 2 people
does that kill the man?
I
take it from your silence, you don't have any answer to that. Yeah. Well, pre-sentence report. Are there any objections to the pre-sentence report?
No, I'm not going to object.
Then it's made a part of the record for all purposes. According to the authorities that investigated this case, they disagree with you.
Yes, sir.
It is determined that Jacoby decided to fire shots at Thomas, striking him multiple times. After he shot Thomas, they left the scene. And then the next morning is when the deceased's body was found in the canal, left to die.
Yes, sir.
And really, both folks who did the shooting here, the defendant and the other co-defendant, have much culpability since they acted together. The just heinous nature of just leaving this person just to die and walking off as though they had a big meal and were going somewhere, watch a ball game or something. It just flippant. To treat a human being like that is disturbing, and to change stories through this pre-sentence report, you are not guilty, and then, yeah, but you are guilty, trying to figure a way to manipulate through this without being held responsible. But the investigators who were close to this case and investigated it believed otherwise. Both of you have pleaded guilty. Both of you are responsible for the death of this human being. And the family members are upset that even this limit of 30 years imprisonment just does not seem fair to them. One, the mother states he should get at least 40 to 50 years in prison. None of them called 911. None of them rendered aid to my son. And he was left there to die, and then to be found later the next day. The father of the deceased, he shot my son, made a choice to do that. He should get more than 30 years. But that is not the maximum. And he is disappointed that, as both of them, that you're not being held for more responsibility to taking their son's life, which was a tragic thing here. Anything else to add, by the way?
No,
I was just asking, just since the other guy who was the fighter did a cap deal that was what less than the 30 years, and as to my understanding, that cap was around 15. In comparability, so what I'm saying is that I would ask for my clients to be somewhere around that 15 or 20 years as well.
Do investigation, again, the authorities think otherwise, but not the responsibility of your client. It is determined that Jacoby decided to fire shots at Thomas, striking him multiple times. That's what they think from their investigation. You weren't there, I wasn't there, but the investigators put this together. He pleaded guilty, the other guy pleaded guilty. There's both responsible. Anything else?
That's your judge's side.
Mr. Bruce, anything else? Anything else you want to add?
I apologize. I'll take full responsibility.
How do you take the life back?
Sure, I wish I can.
Yeah, well, do you think an apology makes a difference to that family?
I sure, and I want to apologize to the family. It didn't happen. It shouldn't happen.
They don't, I guess they're going to, there's not much they can do about it, but they want their child back. Can you do that?
Sure.
You shouldn't have taken it away from them. Another human being. It's not, it was our creator who created it, like created you. You have no right to take it away. You understand?
Yes, sir.
You have to pay a price. You pleaded guilty in this case voluntarily. You were mentally competent to do so. You understood and appreciated the consequences of pleading guilty. There was sufficient evidence supporting your guilty plea from State's Exhibit 1 admitted in the plea hearing to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. I now find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of this first degree felony of murder. I am following this agreement. You are hereby sentenced to confinement in the institutional division of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice to serve a term of 30 years. The judgment shall reflect that a deadly weapon, namely a firearm, was used in the commission of this offense. It will be rendered on the judgment. you will be given credit for all time you have served and a direct relationship to this case. This is the sentence. This is what's fair and just. Unfortunately, I would just wish there was something in the law we could figure out how to bring life back.
So as you saw, the judge immediately followed the plea agreement and imposed a 30-year sentence. The key factors were the 2 gunshot wounds, the witness statements, and the inconsistencies the judge saw when comparing the guilty plea with the defendant's versions and pre-sentence report. The court also considered the co-defendant's family pain and the fact that no one called for help after the shootings. In the end, the judge made it clear that the responsibility had to be taken for the life lost. Thank you for watching Ben's Breakdown.